I remember the moment when I decided to write No Logo, and it was that I read a piece written by Tom Peters in Fast Company magazine. This was the 90s,
Tom
right?
Peters, the corporate success branding guru.
Yes, and who writes almost exclusively in all caps with a lot of exclamation marks. And it was about branding and the revolution in branding. And it was a lecture to corporations who were still, in his view, mired in the world of stuff. They thought that they were actually selling things, lowly things, products like laptops and running shoes and cups of coffee. And they didn't understand that if they wanted to succeed, they had to be in the ideas business. They had to spend their money on marketing. And the way to do that, the way to free up capital, was to sell off your factories and not hire full-time employees, but pour your money into research and design and marketing. And I just had this click moment where I realized that these two big trends that I had been covering as a young journalist, the deterioration of the job market, the fact that we were only being offered these casual jobs on the one hand, and this aggressive marketing and corporatization of public space, on the other hand, were actually the same story, that these same companies had decided to divest from their workers and go into the ideas business. So that made them more voracious as marketers and much less reliable as employers.
And one classic example from your book, Nike as, rather than a shoemaker, as the idea of transcendence through sports, right?
But once you decide that you're about an idea as opposed to a product, then what you need most are canvases on which to express that idea. So that's why Nike really sort of took over the world of sports and became so aggressive in marketing and really transformed sports.
So is that era over? Is it getting worse? What?
Well, it's funny because it's of course it always gets worse. I have a quote in No Logo from a marketer saying consumers are like cockroaches. You spray them and spray them, they get immune after a while. So they're always, marketing has to up the ante in order to get our attention. But when I thought about updating No Logo and writing this new essay, I really didn't want to just track how much worse the marketing has become, and how many more television shows are actually veiled marketing. That I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts from No Logo. I was tracking like sort of the first product placement in movies and things like that. But of course, reality TV has become the ultimate canvas for the total integration of marketing and content. But I'll tell you, I read about this a little bit in the introduction. One of the things that happened to me, because in writing No Logo, I had to completely immerse myself in the world of marketing for a good 5 years, and it was sort of fun because I could disguise shopping as research, right? And this was very useful,
nice trick,
right?
And get paid for it.
Exactly, and going to really crummy Hollywood movies and say, I'm tracking the product placement here, right? But it got to me after a while, and I developed this. I really was so pleased when I finally finished the book that I didn't have to immerse myself in this culture. It was like eating too much junk food.
You're right that you have actually turned down offers over the years, once No Logo became big, for synergistic spin-offs, feature films, TV series, clothing line. Did someone actually offer you a clothing line branded No Logo?
What was so weird about that guy is... Look, the title No Logo and the cover of the book is very elegant. And it's designed actually by a really amazing designer named Bruce Mao. And we wanted the cover to be a culture jam. I have a chapter in the book on culture jamming, on the practice of parodying ads and making them send an anti-marketing message. So we wanted the cover. I wanted the title to be a culture jam. So that was the idea of creating an anti-logo logo. And it really looks like a great logo. The problem is it looked so good that people thought they could use it to sell all kinds of things. I was walking down the street in Geneva once. I was doing a story on the UN. And I walked out by a restaurant and I look in the window and it's called No Logo, and it's the exact same logo. There's a line of olive oil.
But you purposely did not copyright.
Yeah, we made
title,
this decision.
The visual.
Yeah, my publisher actually wanted me to copyright, but I also have a chapter in the book about copyright and how we need to have less of it, and all these artists getting sued for using corporate logos and making their art. So I did not want to copyright it. So everything that's happened is my own fault. I knew there was the risk. I made the decision. But then what happened is this guy started a line of no logo clothing. He asked me whether I wanted to go into business with him, and I said no, I didn't. I didn't want to go into the fashion business with him. And then I got a lawyer's letter from him telling me that I was violating his trademark because he had gone ahead and trademarked no logo for his clothing company.
No, that is so low.
So we just ignored it.
And one funny line you write is that there was actually a career to be made in being a kind of anti-corporate dominatrix, making overpaid executives feel good by telling them what bad brands they were. Can you take us a little bit into that? Seriously, what would a company want with an anti-corporate you?
Well, because this was part also of the phenomenon that I was writing about, of the absorption of anything alternative, anything youth-oriented, anything cutting edge. I mean, that's what was happening in the world of marketing. And I used to write for a magazine, a journal called The Baffler, which was a fantastic journal edited by Tom Frank, and they're actually starting publishing again. And they had a cover in this period called Commodify Your Dissent. And this was the period where these brands were like sponges. They wanted to always co-opt the opposition. So when No Logo came out, I started to get these invitations to speak at corporations and tell them what bad brands they were, and in the process that they would get ideas for their next advertising campaign. So I never did that. I had a really clear policy from the beginning that I was not going to become a corporate consultant, and there's nothing that I would say in private that I don't say in public, so I didn't see the point. I'm all for getting corporations to help pay for universities and roads and healthcare. I just think it should be done through the tax system. And with the banks, it's even more ironic because a lot of these banks are only in business thanks to massive taxpayer bailouts. So then they turn around and rather than pay taxes at the level that they should pay taxes, they generously sponsor with their logo, business schools and sports stadiums. But it's actually the taxpayers' own money. So not only is it not coming in the form of taxation, but it's a very, very circuitous route. I mean, the problem is that it often comes with strings attached. It's often in a very ad hoc manner. I mean, I when I was researching new developments in branding for the introduction, I didn't include this in the introduction, but I found out of cases in some municipalities in the United States responding to precisely what the caller is talking about, where they have sponsored, KFC is sponsoring the filling of potholes. So there'll be a pothole and it will be paved over, but there will be the KFC logo on that.